safe. I've survived another day out in the world. I'm not with any dogs, as weird as that may seem, especially considering how the videos have gone for this RPG A Day 2020. But soon I'll be driving to go get them and to pick them up. Well, I had intended this to be outside, and I had some plans for that, but the rain has returned. So we'll make do. The prompt for us for today is frame. There's all kinds of ways that we could use this. Framing someone, or we could get deep into discussion about how scenes are constructed. We talk about framing scenes. Well, what is that core idea? Why would we use frame to frame someone? And that, of course, is the subject matter of the scene described metaphorically in the written blog for today. But what does this mean? Is it a complete idea? And I think it often gets interpreted or misinterpreted very often, as I said, as a complete idea, as something that is defined or set. And it can be reacted to negatively as a result. Well, I don't do that. We just improvise. So, but how do you improvise? How are you able to improvise? If you're not just making stuff up randomly without any kind of consistency, internal or otherwise, then maybe conceivably you're operating without any kind of frame at all. But we're actually operating within several, let's say, concentric frames when we play a game, right? The game itself, we like to say that system matters. There is a certain frame around what you will be doing at the table as players in order to use the system as a part of your play. There are things that it's going to ask you to do, and there are limitations that it's going to put on actions. If we're playing a game, like a modern investigation game with normal human characters, then leaping out of a high window will likely result in death, very likely. It's possible in the real world to freakishly survive a high fall, and maybe the system will be able to model that by some kind of freak statistical chance. But generally speaking, someone who falls out of a high window in play would expect their character to perish. But what if we were playing a supers game? What if falling out of a high window is a metaphor for something else? What if, as a part of that genre, we shouldn't expect to perish as the character? We should expect the character to find a way out of the situation. That the roles that we resort to, that the use of the system that we invoke will lead to a solution being found or a solution not being found. And so we end up with the character surviving unscathed or getting hurt rather than falling to their death unless a 1 in a million occurrence happens to prevent it. Right? The system helps us to frame what is and is not possible, and what that translates into is what is or is not acceptable for that game, that genre, that time with this group. Once we've accepted system, we've accepted a certain type of frame around how we play and a certain amount of limitation on what kind of results that we're going to have. Well, then we apply a frame of setting. We have different setting frames, such as time period, technology level, social rules, the different geographical region, and therefore the different communities and societies that our characters belong to. All of these apply different constraints and different frames on things that we are free, totally free, to operate within. But they are a hard limit on inside this line. We are doing what we agreed to do. Outside this line, we're not. It produces a hard limiter on what we can do. System, setting. Then inside that setting, in what way are we interpreting the setting? What, in role-playing terms, how this term has been adopted for role-playing games, what genre is being applied, right? How exactly are the characters built? What are the expectations around the characters, and what is considered to be appropriate or proper as an attitude for those characters to have on which to base decisions? If we're playing a noir-influenced game, this is very different from playing a hard-boiled game, which is very different from playing an occult investigations game. Or if we combine all of those together, a hard-boiled noir occult investigation game, this is not the same as Delta Green. So frame, I think, is pretty interesting. And when we're in a particular genre, there are certain actions that we should and should not take is part of the skill of play. And seeing people come to a new genre, seeing people come to a new system, seeing people come to new ways to implement play, and at first be awkward, but then, hour after hour, session after session, grow in comfort. This is one of the things that I love most about being part of a group that likes to play new games, and having always approached play as wanting to get better at it. When I started looking for new games and getting better at them, this has been in itself a frame around how I have come to try a lot of new things, different hobbies, different ways of living. So I think frame is a very interesting word. And when we conceive of play through the notion of the various frames within which we are operating, within which we are playing, it gives a specific and stronger context to all the actions we choose to do in our preparation, and can focus us and make our efforts more efficient. And there's nothing but positivity in that. So, here endeth the discussion of frame, our prompt for today, day 22 of RPG A Day 2020. And I look forward to seeing what prompts are out there for rare today, which is a prompt that we did earlier, and what happens tomorrow. It's not very many days left, so enjoy it while you can. Take care.